How's everybody doing today? I feel like we're sitting in day 2. I got the honor of this closing keynote, so I'm very grateful that you guys stuck around. So I'm very happy to be here. I've got, I think a big agenda for 30 minutes, so I'll do my best. I know that this is a deep topic. People have very deep questions. I'm going to try to do my best to address that in a short time that we have together. But I think the first thing I wanted to do is, give some love to Brian, who helped put this together. Right? No, bring it up. Nice. All right, now let's have some love for Maggie. Right? All right, and this is all about the Asian Hustle Network, so I'm really excited. I'm excited to be here. So, as you guys probably inferred from my name, we got lots of East Asian brothers, sisters in the house. We got South Asian brothers and sisters in the house. We got European brothers and sisters in the house, African American brothers and sisters in the house. I'm a Japanese American, right? So we have a culture and a tradition. There's 2 dimensions of Japanese culture. One of them is called Gumbaru culture. So Gumbaru culture, if you guys watch anime, is bravely producing effort, right? So you got to struggle. You got to fight it out, right? The other side of the culture is called shinsetsu. And shinsetsu means to have gentle compassion and empathy, right? So what I want everybody to do, I'm not going to do meditation just now, but what I want you to do is just tune in right now, because I'm going to tell you what I'm feeling is my eyes are dry, right? Like this, we're in a desert, Vegas, my eyes are dry. I'm feeling tension in my neck. I'm kind of tired after a couple days. I love hanging out with y'all. It's great, but I'm an introvert, so, it's taxing. But I just want everyone to kind of take 10 seconds to tune in and just, be with yourself, be with your physical form, catch that energy, and, and then come back to here and now. So I just got back from Poland. There's a war. There's 1 million new people come in from Ukraine. We're in this kind of pre-post-COVID mode. We're actually now facing both war and the prospect of recession, hyperinflation. It's a very difficult and distressed macro environment. Amazon kind of tanked a little bit today. We're seeing lots of instability in the markets. So what I wanted to say is, I got 3 topics I want to get through quickly. First one is my story, because the theme is Asian hustle, so I got to represent. But I also have to give you the crypto breakdown, right? And then the third thing I have to do is I have to tell you how to win, right? So I think that's what we're here to do. So let me start with my story. I mentioned I'm Japanese American, but I'm actually like a Nisei. So it means my parents actually were the ones that came here, right? So our family actually avoided Japanese American internment camps. So basically, my papa was in Osaka at the time, and that's him in this school picture. So he's that kid right in the middle. Back in 1945, World War II. But we didn't escape. The family did not escape the fires of war. So on March 13, 1945, 274 U.S. B-29 bombers came over Osaka, firebomb, right? Firebomb the place. And this is, that thing on the left there is Namba Station. So if you know Osaka, that's what it looked like on that day. So this is quite an aftermath. So my father was just 7 years old. And when the bombing came, he was actually in a park. And they used to use this early prototype of napalm. So the fire was flying everywhere, right? And he actually hid inside of an unlit barbecue grill. So he just, and in a way, the metal is almost like armor. It protects him, right? So he shut the lid. He's sitting inside. And what my father said to me was, he said, all I could think of was how strange it was that it's a barbecue, but the fire's on the outside, right? And I'm on the inside.
right? That's what happened to him. And when he left Japan, he put the fire into his inside. He got his fire in the belly. He came to the United States with that fire. So this is my young dad. He's come to the United States. He's here to like make his fortune, right? So I was born in Wisconsin, and then we moved to Michigan. Not a lot of Asian faces over there in this time. This was actually kind of in the 1980s, right? My dad actually had kind of a hot temper. It was like a lot of fire. He had a lot of fire, right? And in a way, he reacted to all our weaknesses with anger. And now that I'm a father, I understand him. It's scary. The world is scary. Bad things happen. And if you're not strong, they're going to eat you alive, right? So like, I sympathize with him because the way he expressed it was anger, because like, how can we be weak when the world is so hateful, right? And it's so destructive, right? And of course he was attacked and his classmates were bombed and killed, right? So he was feeling that when he brought the heat, he brought the fire to us, right? He lit a fire under our butts, right? And as dutiful Asian students and kids, you know, like we kind of overperformed, you know. So my brother, you know, he went to MIT. I ended up doing my undergrad local with University of Michigan, but then I went graduate school to Yale, and we were all just kind of like trying to, you know, work it out. But I gotta say that a lot of that was driven out of fear, right? But what I learned from my father that if you don't have the fire on the inside, fire is going to come to you from the outside, right? So you don't have a choice where there's no fire. You don't have a choice. You can't be like, oh, there's no fire. There's a fire. There's going to be a fire, and the fire is going to come to you, right? So you better put the fire on the inside, right? So that's me and my dad, my brother, my mom, some neighbors. So I want to talk about hate. So when I was a young man, I was followed home from school. I was actually a girl, but she was quite a bit older than me. And she had a few choice words for me. You know, she said, you don't belong here, right? She said, my dad says you immigrants are ruining everything, right? What was happening was the U.S. auto industry in Detroit was collapsing under the pressure from Japanese car industry, right? So this is really, really a negative for me, being Japanese face, right? So, you know, it became go home chink, right? It became, you know, go back to China. It's always confusing, you know, but you know, I wasn't going to go back to any China, but like, why is there snowball here, right? The thing that was interesting was I kind of saw fit as I was walking home from the school bus, I was packing the snowball, you know, packing the snowball, right? You know, and then like I got scared, right? And I put it down because I didn't know what to do. But like the next day, same abuse, right? So after a little bit of this abuse, I kept packing the snowball, right? One day I just turned around and just like whack, like right there, you know, and that was the end. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. So like, you know, that's kind of my story. But like this, you know, this is Vincent Chin. I don't know if you remember this story, right? But you know, he is 27 years old in Detroit, celebrating. You know, he was having a party for his you know, his fiance. He was kind of getting married, right? And two unemployed auto workers beat him to death in the parking lot, right? Racial animosity and hatred, right? And guess what? They got off the hook. They paid a $3,000 fine for taking this man's life and no jail time, right? So this is the environment. I was 14 years old. He could have been a brother of mine. So I gotta say, like, my career, someone asked me the other day, they're like, how do you become an overnight success in crypto, right? I said, well, find an industry where there's really low pay, low margins, like open source developer tools, worked there for like 20, 30 years, and the rest is easy, right? And one of my patterns was I worked for angry bosses, right? Because I needed the fire to come from the outside, right? I needed to be scared, and I couldn't perform if I wasn't scared. So I just kept using these angry bosses, right? But eventually it made me sick. Like, I was probably like 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And I couldn't sleep. I was messed up. I was definitely a messed up person, right? Because I was just getting this fire from the outside. And then my dad died. And the fire went out completely. Like, I just stopped functioning. Like, I wasn't able to work. I was like, why should I work? Like, in a way, I realized that my life had been constructed around this man, my father, right? And that I was kind of doing it for him. And if he's gone, like, why should I work? Why should I do anything? Right? So this is the darkest period of my life. So I didn't know how to get up in the morning. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to go forward anymore. There's a long story related to how I got through this, but it's definitely like, I got agenda to cover. So in this darkest time in my life, I can tell you what I figured out is I figured out how to put the fire on the inside. Take the fire from the outside, put it on the inside, right?
That was the beginning for me, right? So I ended up moving from open source software to a different kind of open source software, right? Which was Bitcoin and crypto, right? So for me, crypto is the fire, right? That's the fire, right? And of course, for me, all of that became true out of open source software. So in 2018, I was one of the co-founders of this fund, Gumi Cryptos Capital. So, it's a $21 million fund. For those of you who know Bitcoin, that's kind of a magic number, kind of a small fund. We made 30 investments, 8 lead investments, right? And current portfolio value is over $500 million. It'll probably go north from there, and return multiple about 25x. I think if you do kind of like day trading in crypto, you can outperform, but like if you're deploying sizable assets, it's actually a heavy lift. So, out of the 8 lead investments, we actually already got like 4 unicorns. We'll probably get a few more. Here's 8 unicorns out of the portfolio as a whole. So things have been bananas. So what's happening in the macro? This is actually what's called the M2 money supply. So I just want to point out that there's a lot of money printing going on. It turns out COVID cost about $5 trillion. It turns out we printed 3.5, right? Past 18 months, 80% of the money supply in circulation has been printed. So we're in a mass money printing era. That's what's happening right now. What is the result? Well, the result obviously is that, if you go back to 1913, right, the US dollar's buying power is eroded, right, by almost 90%, right? And I think that's going to probably continue. And then obviously when you think about the balance sheet of the US Federal Reserve, what happened in 2008? Lehman Brothers collapsed, right? So that's the beginning of the end. And when you actually look at the Fed balance sheet, it's really out of whack, right? So this is September 2008. And then, of course, in October 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto published Bitcoin white paper. So that's the kind of amazingness that happened out of that. So this gentleman is actually someone who goes by the name of Meta Kovan. Meta Kovan actually, he actually said crypto is the new America. Why are we listening to him? We're listening to him because he's the buyer of the world's famous NFT art, which is the Beeple art, $69 million, right? So he's an interesting character. He said crypto is the new America, right? So in a sense, the American dream has moved into something more metaversal. And that's kind of what Meta Kovan has to say. I think it's an exciting point. So how should we reason about the phenomenon of crypto? So one of the things that's so important is network effects, right? So when we think about fire and we think about starting a fire, we think about virality and spreading, right? So when you think about tokens, financial inclusion, you form a tribe, your tribe gets tokens, right? And then of course this financial inclusion is really about shilling, right? So if you have a token, you want to promote it and it creates a network effect, right? This is something that we informally call Nakamoto's law in our fund. So what about NFTs? So this is, it turns out, so this is Mike Winkleman and myself. We were at Bitcoin Miami together. Turns out he's from Wisconsin too. So we had a really great hangout together. But the thing about NFTs is NFTs are actually about what I call narrative inclusion, right? So narrative inclusion is about becoming a part of the story, right? Like my son actually can't be bothered to watch Netflix, right? Because he's like, why should I watch stories written by people I don't know, acted by people I don't know, and playing characters that I don't know, right? He's like, I can just get on my game and I can hang out with my friends who are funnier than those guys, and we can have an adventure that's better than all that, right? So like narrative inclusion relates to ownership of the story, right? So I think that's really what's happening. And in a way, the fire of NFT is actually virality. So media virality is the kind of way that NFT spread, similar to the kind of mechanisms that fungible tokens use to spread. So short breakdown. So I'm giving you the breakdown in these popular terms. I don't know about Web3, but what I do know is Jack Dorsey doesn't want to run Twitter. He wants to run Block, right? Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want to run Facebook. He wants to run Meta, right? So a lot of the leaders of Web2 are running away from their creations, right? Because they know that they're broken. Web2 is broken, right? So what do they need? They need privacy, they need cryptography, they need security, they need incentives, they need a bunch of things, all of which are available with blockchain technology. So all Web3 is we're just going to fix some of this stuff up, right? That's what Web3 is. What about DAOs? Like a DAO is basically an experimental nation, right? So they print money, they provide self-governance, they actually levy taxes, right? The fourth property is they don't monopolize the use of violence over a geographic area, right? So a DAO doesn't have that ability yet. But, I think that the thing that's amazing is, and that's why levying taxes means it's only voluntary, right? So they offer services, they get taxes, right? So that's a DAO, right? And then we have the big question, right? So the big question is this is the third part of my talk, which is, how do we win, right? Like we're all here, we're hustling, right? And to me, we're in a very weird and scary macro environment. And what we know from Ray Dalio is we know that cash is trash, right? So obviously we've heard a lot of great pitches over the past day or two about real estate. Those are assets, right? But what about other assets, digital assets, crypto assets, right? Those are ways of kind of diversifying your portfolio and kind of generating an improved Sharpe ratio and actually kind of generating a very nice return, right? So how do you win? By the way, this is Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum. So the first principle is don't delay. Don't delay, right? Which is the best time to have invested in crypto is 2008, right? But the second best time is today. So don't delay, right? Don't delay. Second principle, don't overspend, right? Don't mortgage your house. Don't go crazy, right? And you got to deploy according to your knowledge, right? So don't overdo it. Here's my guy. If you don't get it, don't buy, right? So this is, Warren Buffett actually invented this, right? Which is if you don't understand it, then don't buy into it, right? So that means go slowly, right? Put a little bit at a time and learn, right? Learn as you go. Don't FOMO. Right? Fear of missing out, right? People talk about aping. I'm going to ape this shitcoin. Don't play. I said crypto's fire, you're going to burn yourself, right? Don't play. No FOMO. And whatever you do, don't panic sell. Because I'm telling you this, right? I'm telling you, you should maybe buy a little bit of crypto today. Don't delay, right? You should buy some today, right? Some of you, I hope this doesn't happen, but some of you the price may go down a lot. It could go down a lot, right? Don't panic sell. Just don't sell, right? Now, what if you have to sell? You're like, oh my God, I have to sell. You put in too much. You broke the earlier law. So my question is, how do you reason about this method that I'm describing? What is this method? What's my secret system? What's the name of it? It's called, what would Buddha do? That's my system. And I'll tell you why it's like that, is when the Buddha received enlightenment, he was attacked by a demon. Two things the demon did. First thing was, sent his daughters to seduce him. Temptation. Hey, it's going to be awesome. Buddha's like, sorry, I'm meditating. Right? And then the demon was like, I'm going to destroy you. This picture is actually the army of the demon Mara trying to destroy the Buddha. What does Buddha do? Did he panic? Did he panic sell? Did he sell all his cryptos? He did not. Right? The Buddha was like, I'm chill. I'm good. Price is crashing. That's whatever. It's all good. Right? He received enlightenment. It's pretty awesome, right? So this is the Buddhist formula, which is don't have craving, grasping, clinging, imbalance, desperation, panic. Don't do that stuff. Just be chill, because all that produces suffering. So don't act like that. Do it like the Buddha. Here's an example. Kim Kardashian supported this stupid thing called Ethereum Max, right? Don't be like Kim Kardashian, right? Why did she do that? She did that because she trusted the wrong people. She had people in her circle who were not to be trusted, right? She trusted people who were not to be trusted. She overreached her domain knowledge. Don't be like her, right? Don't make mistakes, right? Like, keep your balance. In business, you look at the other person, you're like, who do you trust? Work with who you trust, right? Work with who you trust. And in crypto, 10 times that, right? So the thing I see happening in crypto is people are like, I don't know if I trust those guys, but they say I could be rich. I'm going to drop NFTs with these guys because, like, maybe we'll see what happens and I'll be rich. You're going to get rug pull. Your reputation's going to be tarnished. Her reputation, right? Regulators are chasing her now. They're like, you're a criminal, right? Don't go there. So what I wanted to close with is do it today. If you want to do it today, whip out your phone. Get your phone and, like, point it at the screen right here. Yeah. So this is it's super simple. What this is, it's just Coinbase, right? So just point your phone, get the QR code. If you're on iPhone, get that one. If you're on Android phone, get the other one. If you already have crypto, if you're an accredited investor, you can graduate, you get Celsius, right? So go get Celsius and you can earn yield, right? But if you're a beginner, go get this, right? And then you can buy crypto without delay, right? So that's very important. So I just want to close. I just want to close on this idea of, like, fire, right? Which is the last words of the Buddha were, make of yourself a light, right? And how do you do that? How do you do that? You got to do it with the fire. You got to have the fire, right? And what do you do with the fire? You use it to light other fires, right? Like, what I'm hoping, this is the first of an annual conference series, AHN. What I'm hoping to hear from you all is next year at this conference, I want you to come back. I want you to say to me, you know what, I did buy that. I did go to Coin. I did buy that crypto and the price crashed and I panic sold. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what happened, right? Now, what I also don't want to hear is, I got sucked into this rabbit hole about all, like, mortgage in my house. I got Dogecoins. Don't be doing that either, right? Because I'm going to ask you on that day, I'm going to ask you next year, I'm going to say, did you behave like the Buddha, right? So you got to do crypto Buddha, right? And then everything's chill, right? Keep your balance. Who can you trust? Times 10, right? Watch out for the criminals. And then you'll be all right. So if you need to get a hold of me, Miko Java on Twitter, or just Miko.com, my website. You can just get a hold of me there. I have a lot of love for this community. I'm also in the Facebook group, so look me up and, we'll talk it out. Thanks so much.